At the Astrology Research Foundation, or ARF, our goal is to provide objective information to the public provided by astrological research. The foundation is nonpartisan. Hi, this is Tom at the ARF. This is the third part of a series of videos on the politicians running for the 2024 U.S. election. We recently analyzed the chart of Donald Trump and some of his family, so let's get to know the real Donald. His chart shows some clear trends, and they are documented in his familial relationships. His sole significator is the sun, which indicates a deep value of power and position, and it's important for him to work on his humility. Maybe the assassination attempt will aid him with that. It's located in his 10th house, which shows information about his career. It's in the sign of Taurus, which has a negative interaction with the sun, typically indicating materialism. Sadly, it looks like all three presidential candidates have issues with materialism. The sun is conjunct here with Rahu, or the northern lunar node, and it's exalted. Rahu is exalted. This Rahu dominating the sun can show false ego, short temper, dishonesty, and planning to cheat others. It also can show relationship issues with the father. More on that later. In astrology, there are multiple ways to look at a chart. This house placement is using the standard eastern horizon or ascendant as the first house. But because Trump seems to be influenced a lot by his emotions, we'll look at his chart with the moon, which is indicative of emotions as the first house in parallel. In that parallel chart, we see the conjunction in house 7, which would indicate his partners, romantic and otherwise. So we can see these traits in his relationships with women as well. You may recall from the RFK Jr. video, there is a complex conjunction in his 7th house, which contains both of the planets that Trump has in his lunar-oriented 7th house. I suggested this may indicate needing romantic partners to fulfill his ego. This is ironic, as this week RFK Jr. announced he'll be supporting Trump and dropping out of the race. Looking back at the relationship with his father, we can see the indicator of Trump's father as Jupiter in the 2nd house, representing close family, wealth, and speech. The sign there is Virgo, and it is at odds with Jupiter, indicating that they probably had different sets of morals, which Jupiter represents. His father's Jupiter is in Taurus, showing his father would likely sacrifice morals for materialism. Trump's father's Jupiter placement is the same as Kamala Harris's. I guess the difference in morals between Trump and his father could be related to self-discipline, as his father had an excellent placement for this, Saturn at home in Aquarius, whereas Trump's Saturn is in his enemy's house and represents his spouse. It seems his father would have been less likely to share Trump's trait of infidelity. Let's take a look at the 4th house now, which indicates the home and direction. He has his moon in the lunar mansion, indicating Indra, or king of the gods. Similar to his sun, this shows that he seeks power. It is conjunct with K2, or the south lunar node. K2 is exalted here in Scorpio, so we can say he may have some feelings of insecurity, but good intuition and a difficult to understand personality, meaning it's hard to know what he's up to. His 11th house contains Mercury, which indicates his mother. It's in a good placement, which may seem shocking considering the fact that their relationship had issues. So first, let's look at the general perspective. Mercury is happy here in Gemini. It shows his love of communication as well as the entertainment industry. This is the house of income, friends, and achievements, and clearly he's done well in those areas. Mercury is the ruler of his moon's lunar mansion, showing his ability to communicate and use of show business in order to gain power. This all seems true, and it's possible he got these skills from his mother. Her Mercury had a strong placement, and she was bilingual and managed to move from a small Scottish village to America and marry into a well-to-do family. Now, flipping back to the emotion-oriented chart with the moon in the 1st house, we see Mercury is in the 8th house, indicating again he is a strong communicator and uses that to protect himself. While him and his mother didn't necessarily get along, it's likely she was still protective of him. Looking at the 4th house of the moon-oriented chart, which also can indicate the mother in addition to the home, we see Aquarius. This is the sign of his mother's moon. It is ruled by both Saturn and Rahu. As mentioned, his Saturn is in a bad place. In the moon-oriented chart, it's in house 9, so we can see evidence of self-discipline issues in regards to mentors or his father. His childhood was full of them, which probably caused his mother a lot of emotional stress. Rahu is exalted, which can mean very motivated, but not necessarily in a good way, possibly towards greed and materialism. So it appears Trump had a two-tiered relationship with his mother. The first shown in the standard chart, showing more about material reality, looks good, so she would probably let him do his thing in regards to earning money, and maybe even be supportive. On the other hand, from an emotional perspective, they likely had issues. Apparently she was absent a lot while he was young, and he lashed out maybe due to his insecurities and desire for attention. In the 12th house of the standard chart, he has a Venus-Saturn conjunction. We already talked about Saturn, so let's look at Venus. The sign here is Cancer, representing emotions and often the mother. His Venus represents strife, so this reaffirms what we mentioned, that he struggles with emotions, likely in connection with his mother originally, and expanding to other women over time. It's also of note that this house can indicate foreign lands, and his mother and 2 of his 3 wives were not born in America. One more interesting note is his ascendant. It has Leo with Mars in a positive placement, and his sole significator as its ruler. Some traits this could show are his fiery, passionate nature, especially in his career and against his enemies. It also indicates his natural-born ability to be a leader. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like what you saw, and keep an eye out for the next video in this series.